Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Miel Hebraica, Hebrew honey. Dabash is honey in Hebrew language, of course. And today I'm looking at Psalm 139, verses 1, 2, and 3, the start of the psalm. Now, I've had a lot of history with this psalm. Years ago, I was preaching in Battle Creek, Michigan. And I mentioned that I had prepared a study guide of the Psalms. And afterwards, after the service, the gentleman came to me. I don't remember his name. I sort of remember his face a little bit, but he asked me, he said, hey, you've done the Psalms. Have you included Psalm 139? I says, well, no, I didn't. And I hadn't really considered it. He says, well, you have to include that one. So I went back and re-edited my Psalm study and included Psalm 139. Of course, very, very personal, very intimate psalm, I'd say, just a psalm that really gets to the heart of things, so our insides. Then years later, we were traveling in the Netherlands, and my uncle Gerrit took me around to some of the places where he was a leader of in the Dutch resistance during the Second World War, and he had pointed out a few of the places where some interesting things had happened in that regard. And he asked me, he says, do you preach Psalm 139? I says, yes, I do. He goes, well, can you preach the whole thing? I says, no, I really can't. I mean, the last part doesn't really seem to fit very well with Jesus' teaching to love your neighbor. And he says, well, no, you have to preach the whole thing. And in that regard, yes, we're going to look at the whole thing, even the difficult parts. It has some difficult parts to it, so so stick with the studies. I'm going to go through it 2 or 3 verses at a time, and we'll get to the difficult parts. And reading the Hebrew, some interesting things come up, and this is why I do the study here in Hebrew, so that we can see interesting connections throughout the psalm. Incidentally, the first 2 or 3 verses here include the whole matter of the Lord knowing us very closely from our insides out, and it's this is an affirmation. The psalm starts with this affirmation, and then as it ends, the last 2 verses of the psalm, it's a petition to the Lord. Search my heart. Take a look at me. Just study me very closely. See if there's something evil in me. And so it seems to be a little bit in reverse. In other words, you might want to start with, hey, please search me. And then later on, yeah, you do know me. But this psalm begins with, oh, he knows everything about us. Even before we say anything, even before we go out, we come in, the Lord knows everything about us. So for those who are hiding things, kind of a terrible concept. He knows everything that we're doing. For those who trust in the Lord, wow, this is certainly an affirmation that the Lord is staying very close to us. So let's get to the study. And it's to the choir director, to David, a psalm of David, Lemana Sheach, Le David, Mishmor. Mishmor is a psalm. It's the sound of the strumming of the harp. So Le David, for David, and for the choir director, the overseer, Mana Sheach, fruit of patah right here in front of this chet. So that's an interesting. This is a title that appears quite often in terms of in the titles. So it's for or from, and for David or from David, Mishmor, a psalm. Jehovah ha-kartani va-tada. Jehovah, you search me, kartani. So this is hakar is to search. Ta then is the second person singular, and we're going to see a lot of that here. We're going to hakartani, yadata, banata, all the way down to the bottom here, hishkanta. So these are all second persons then. Okay, that's something that David is saying to the Lord: search me. Okay, you know me, and you understand me, and so forth. So that's how it goes. Yehovah kartani teda. You know, and you know it. It's the knee is not attached here, but with this first one here, you search me and you know it. Okay, you know everything about me. Ata, this is the independent pronoun of you, right here, you. Yadata, again, the second person singular suffix form of the verb here. You know. Shivti, my sitting. Okay, shivti. The word is yashav, so and can mean to sit. Also means to where I live, but in this case, since it's kumi here, you know my sitting and my rising. Now I've included the paleographic forms of the kof. Okay, right here, there's a kof, hakartani, and you have kumi, and you have merahok, okay, from a distance. And the reason for including this is that it ties things together. It just makes it very interesting to see how it's connected. So hakartani, this is you search me. In other words, the kof is a cord, a line with a knot on the top, and the knot then is used for measuring or for tying, and so it has both functions. So this knot then ties, okay, things together. So it's, later on, this part of the kof, this section on that side, is used for the knotted part, and then the cord is still the longer section right here. So you search me. In other words, you've measured me with a cord. Okay, you search me. And then kumi, this is going up. I'm rising up, going up, but also in the sense of I'm lifting myself with the cord. Okay, so you have the cord here, kumi, and I'm standing up. I'm coming, rising up. And then over here, merahok. Again, we get to the whole matter of measuring something. This is the cord then measures a distance, from a distance, merahok. Okay, so you got searching me. Measuring me with a cord. Here the cord is, we're climbing up, and here the cord is again measuring a distance from afar. So this is interesting to see how the kof then connects things together here. Ata yadata shivti kumi, and to my rising up. This word will appear way at the end, and we'll get to it. It's going to be a number of programs until we get there. But we'll get back to this one, okay? So those who unfortunately rise up against the Lord, and so that the kof again appears in that one. That's towards the end of the psalm. Benotah, ben is between, so ben, ta, second person again here. Interestingly enough, the second person ending here is indicated with a tau comets, and here you got tau comets, but this a sound here, and if you get back to what would be an unpointed text, this hey then would have the purpose of providing the comet sound right here. So that would be the purpose of this hey, and we'll see the same thing at the end here, ta. So you got the comets hey, and then the hey sound here. It doesn't function here as a consonant, functions here as a vowel to provide the comet sound on the end of this verb right here. So we have the second person verb is here and here and here and here. So okay. Vata yadata shivti vekumi. Barata, you understand, you measure between what's in between what's happening. Okay. Benata le rai, when I to my thoughts, what I'm thinking of or looking at. Okay, rai, also same root used for pasturing, but it's rai, resha, ayin. What I am looking at, what I'm considering, what my thoughts are. Merahok, from a distance. It doesn't have to be. You can see it from a long ways off. Just what I'm thinking about, what I'm looking at, what I'm considering. Okay, merahok, from a distance. Orhi, now this is the ways, and ways here, so it's a parallel with darki. Okay, you have derek, darki. These are parallels right here, of course. So my ways, my path, okay, orhi, my path, revi, and lying down. Zareta. Okay, you. Yeah, this is second person again. You see here, second person. Okay, Zare. Zare. This is when Zar are the rays of light from the sun, and it's the rays, also the veins of a plant. Okay, Zera would also mean seed, incidentally. But this also means that the Lord extends His eyesight over us and sort of in a pattern looking at us. Okay, Zareta. Okay, so you have that sense of the rays of the sun looking at us. So Zareta, you search out. Okay, you actually, and so yeah, it's searching. Also in the sense of illuminating the path, but searching it out. We call Darki and all of my roads. Both of these here have a sense of, we would call them ways and paths, and so a sense of not just where we're walking, but how we behave. Our moral, ethical actions are included in Darek. When you're studying the book of Proverbs, you're going to see this a whole lot. Darek, the ways, my ways are transparent before the Lord, and the way we walk in the way, the moral, ethical way that the Lord teaches us is very important. So, vekol derecha, kish kanata, you've caused to be acquainted. Be acquainted, yeah. So you know these things. Shakan is to understand it. Okay, shakan. The root here is shin. Samek, kaf, nun, okay, shakan. This makes it second person, and then the hey on the end, like I said before, gives me the sound of the comets here. So you cause to understand or to open or consider hashkanta, my pathways, my ways. Okay, so you have my path and my ways. These are parallel concepts here. They basically mean the same thing. So okay. So this is a Psalm of David, and David very clearly knew that in this life, everything we do, where we walk, what we do, be it close up with the Lord, be it a distance from the Lord, He knows it all. And this is a very important concept for all those who are believers in God and believers in Christ, that we really can't hide anything from Him. And because of that, it behooves us, or it teaches us to live our life as clearly or as openly as we can with the Lord. We can't hide things from Him. He knows it all. He knows it even before it even happens. And that for some people, if they're hiding something, that's kind of a terrible thought. But if you are living a life in obedience to Him, willing to explain yourself to Him, it's a great thing, because, hey, He knows everything that's happening with us. So, then most certainly would be an incentive for us to live the way He wants us to live. So it's a very beautiful thought for those who love the Lord. It's a very comforting psalm for those who want to run away from the Lord. Whoa, that might be a little, invasion of privacy here. So this is going to be kind of a hard thing to handle, to know that the Lord knows everything about us and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and where we're going to go, where we're going to walk, when we sit down, when we stand up, and all those good things. The Lord knows it all. And so if we're cognizant of that, we will then live our lives according to His will, and that most certainly is a motivation for us to do things the way God wants us to do it. So may God bless, may God strengthen you, and we're going to continue this study on to the next verses again very soon.